with Mr. Greg Dickerson in our expert series. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, Michael. Good to see you.
I've been looking at this topic number 3 pretty much all weekend. I was reading several articles from Mohammed El Alarian over the weekend. I actually saw some YouTube interviews that were done that day or the day before, and he is getting very loud. He's typically very reserved. He speaks very well. Harvard guy, blah, 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 or Yale, might have been Yale, one of those two, Yale or Harvard. Anyways, he's out now getting very loud saying the Fed is on the cusp of making the worst policy decision ever, the largest mistake. And I read these things. I know him. I've read articles about him for decades now. This is not his normal thing. He doesn't like to be that in your face. So I'm freaked out by the fact that he's getting this loud. So don't know if you saw it over the weekend. If you have, what do you think?
Yeah. I like Muhammad. I follow him. He's like you said, he's brilliant, very level-headed. He also manages a fund, so he gets it.
Yeah.
He manages money, so he understands it. And he's one of the people I follow and listen to very closely, as well as Larry Summers.
Mm-hmm.
He was part of the he was Treasury Secretary, I guess.
Yeah, he was
at one point. He's at Harvard now. And, then there's Paul Krugman, who, Muhammad and Krugman, they have a relationship, but Krugman is on the opposite side of that. He says that we still don't need to do anything, that we haven't done enough and it's all going to go away, he's getting very loud because it is very dangerous. I mean, we're looking at damage done beyond a level that anybody's ever done single-handedly at the Fed, even Greenspan. I mean, he was one of the worst, Fed chairs that we ever had. And I guess, his philosophy is that Volcker, was really the only one that had a full grasp of what a Fed's responsibility and policy should look like.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was before my time in terms of my awareness of the economy.
Sure.
I haven't really
Mine
studied
too.
Volckernomics. I haven't really studied that, but it's getting very dangerous. And he's not the only one. Summers is starting to sound the alarms.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of other people are starting to sound the alarms. And, even, Wall Street hedge fund managers, like Bill Allen,
Mm-hmm.
he's starting to, sound the alarms. I mean, it's getting pretty tricky out there.
Yeah. And so again, there's a lot of people. And again, Mohammed El Alarian for me is like those other guys. They're on my radar as well, but they're more in your face kind of human beings, including Larry Summers, right?
Bill Ackman. I'm sorry. I meant Bill Ackman.
Yeah. Bill Ackman. That's what I thought you meant. Yeah. They're always in the media going for the headline, going for the statement. Not Mohammed. He is very reserved. And again, I've been reading his stuff for 20 years. This article, this video, I think it was on Bloomberg. I think this 12 or 15 minute interview, it actually sent shivers down my spine. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, he's what he's saying essentially is the Fed has painted themselves into a box. They know that if they, take corrective action, it's going to create a market collapse. They know that. And they know that if they don't take action, it's going to cause a market collapse.
Yeah, exactly.
So so they're just waiting because nobody wants to go down as that.
Right.
And, that is exactly what, they're facing. And, Powell, I mean, he's a smart guy too. And, he seems intelligent, but man, they are flat out ignoring the writing on the wall. And, maybe they're smarter than everybody, not me, so I listen to people like them. That's where I get my information. I form my opinions, people like El Arian and other economists out there. And I do not listen so much to regulators and politicians, because again, they're in kind of a little bubble and they're not quite getting it. Powell is very connected on Wall Street and he has a lot of personal gain and reputation at stake here. So he knows good and well what he's doing and he knows whose pockets all of this is going into. So don't discount that. He comes from Wall Street.
Yeah.
So he knows what's going on and he knows that he can't do anything. He's stuck.
Yeah. Mohammed's
all he can do is just kind of ignore it and hope it goes away. Kind of like
it's going to
remember when you were a little kid?
Yeah.
If I close my eyes, maybe they won't see me.
Yeah, exactly.
Hide and seek.
Yeah. Are you saying you didn't eat the chocolate cake and you got chocolate cake on the side of your mouth? Yeah, I remember those times.
No, I mean, it's literally when you played hide and seek as a kid, you would close your eyes when they were looking for you, thinking if I can't see them, they can't see me.
I remember.
Or,
Yeah,
if you're on
peekaboo.
And I think that's what the Fed's doing is they're just kind of closing their eyes and hoping that inflation will do the damage for them. So then they can try to somehow come to the rescue. But the problem is they're out of bullets.
Really Mohammed's point of view, really, again, Mohammed was very clear. He says they're on the cusp of making the worst policy decision. So he's giving them an out. He says the window was wide open. He says it's barely open now. And he was very clear. And again, the fact that Mohammed was very clear makes me nervous. He's basically saying the Fed has got to taper faster. It's got to get ready to raise rates faster, because he's saying inflation is taking off, right? Actually, this morning, I just jotted these down.
Well, here's the funny thing too. So this is really interesting, because the Fed, when it was created, in 1997, it had a mandate from Congress when it was created: promote effectively the goals of maximum employment, stable prices, and moderate long-term interest rates. That is their mandate. That's the only thing.
What year was that? It wasn't 1997.
1977.
Oh, 77. Okay.
Since 1977, they have operated under a mandate from Congress to promote effectively the goals of maximum employment, stable prices, moderate long-term interest rates. So what do we have? We don't have moderate long-term interest rates.
Yeah.
We have more jobs than people that want to take them, so you've got for the first time in the history of this country, you have, however many millions of jobs available, and only, a million, let's say 5 million jobs available, and only 1 million people,
I actually have the numbers. It was a JOLTS report, JOLTS. It came out on Thursday. 10.7 million job openings, 8.4 million folks looking for work.
Yeah. So, I mean, how do you do that? And then what was the other one? So maximum employment, stable prices. Well, they lost on all three.
They're not good.
So their mandate is, and only ever was, those three things. And now they've become the largest Zillow buyer of everything.
Buy. Yeah. It's very interesting, because I actually have an econ degree, right? That's my undergrad. So I studied Volcker. And I actually went back here recently, the last 4 or 5 months, and I studied I'd never gone past Volcker, right? Volcker was a topic in school because he was the guy that broke the back of inflation, right? So he was somebody we studied. But actually, recently I went back and studied the Fed presidents pre-Volcker. And what Jerome Powell has done is the same mistake that the guy, not the one right before Volcker, because that guy only lasted 9 months, but the one before him, he was a business guy. And what he made his bones on is, I'm going to worry about employment only, and the rates will take care of itself. What did Jerome Powell do about a year ago, maybe 18 months ago? He basically flipped. He went from priority A being stable prices, priority B being full employment, because you can only have, as any parent knows, one number one priority. This 1A, 1B nonsense is just that nonsense. Volcker flipped it. And once he made that flip, he was toast. He is trying to get to full employment and be stable prices be damned. And we're seeing the ramifications of that right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. The other thing that, Ariane is warning about, are interest rates and the servicing of the debt. So, everything's fine and hunky dory as long as interest rates are, nominal.
Right.
You have to start raising interest rates now. That's the interest rates on the debt, that we are servicing. So at some point that becomes unsustainable, and you're just printing, to sustain the debt.
Yeah. Once you print money to service the debt, game over. Right now, even though our debt to GDP is 120 some odd percent or whatever it is, we can still service it because rates are 1% or whatever they are. 1%.
And the Fed has been
done.
They've been the largest buyer of bonds, as of late. And if they continue on that path, then what does that do? Where does that push the money?
Yeah. So again, this is as we get ready to end the year, it's becoming very interesting times. I guess based on our conversations today, you believe inflation is bad and getting worse. Would that be a fair assessment of your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I think everybody does. I don't think there's anybody rational thinker out there denying it now. Everybody knows, because everybody's paying it. Everybody's paying it. It's just, these, for whatever reason, these politicians just won't admit it. They just won't acknowledge that it's happening. And, it's gonna be interesting times. Now, what does this mean to the markets, to the values, to, real estate and all these things, between now and the end of the year? I think until the Fed does something, until things change from a monetary policy, it's still bull market on. It's still values, price go up, number go up.
Santa Claus rally. I don't see anything happening in 6 weeks is all we have left in the year. But that doesn't mean that the risks don't get bigger, that there's not some market accident out there waiting to happen. But yeah, it's very rare that because I read this stuff every day. But watching Mohammed talk about the largest policy mistake ever yesterday, that did send shivers down my spine. So be careful. Be careful. I guess last thing we talked about, 6 months ago or so, is Jamie Dimon is sitting on $500 billion in cash. I think it's almost $1 trillion now. Is that still kind of the right answer? If you think there's a market accident and there's a bubble everywhere, you just sit on cash for a while? Is that,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, Buffett's the same way. And a lot of people are discounting them and saying they're irrelevant because they've just missed this.
They're old.
That. Yeah. But cash is king. And, when the chips are down and, when things are dipping, you need cash to take advantage of opportunities because, when the deleveraging begins, somebody's got to, pick up all the little acorns when the tree gets shaken out. So
there you go. Cool.
That's where you want to be. You want to be in cash when we hit bottom.
Yeah. Folks, you got to do yourself a favor. Follow Mr. Greg Dickerson. He talks about some amazing stuff that I am not experienced enough to talk about.
And again,
where to go?
Again, the most important thing to know is the top.
Yes.
It's more important to know the top than it is the bottom. That's the key. Because, if you're buying at the top, there ain't no bottom, for you at that point, moving forward. And, you don't want to hit bottom after you bought the top and wait years for it to come back and just be stuck in a trade and have no cash. So, just understand, it's very difficult to call the exact top and you don't need to, but you need to be somewhere in that curve, so that you can exit and then you can buy back in and just, whatever it is, whether it's real estate, whether it's stocks, cryptos, it doesn't matter. It's peaks and valleys, and it's cycles and timeframes, so bad times never last, good times never last. It's peaks and valleys and cycles. And if you even look at the bull market we've been in and everything other than real estate's been pretty much straight up for a while. We had a little hiccup 2010, 11, but it's been pretty much straight up since 08, 09. The markets, you can see these little corrections as they go. So, you want to sell at the tops of those, buy back down in the bottoms and just kind of catch those. And the real question is at some point, if we face a deleveraging, if El Arion and some of those people are correct, is there going to be more of a long-term sustained bear market, which is again, just a decline in, GDP and values, below 20% for a sustained length of time, not just a couple of months. And, can we climb back out of that? Does the Fed even have any power, to bring us back out of that? Or do we just need to delever and reset and go? So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah. Well, do yourself a favor, follow Greg Dickerson. How should they do that?
Yeah. GregDickerson.com. All my info is there. YouTube podcast. Go check it out.
Thank you, buddy. Take care.
All right.